Hi, today I'll be talking, even though it's the evening, today was a fast day, a Jewish day of mourning, grieving for there not being sanctuary, for boundaries being broken, for a sense of lack, and for cultural unity being divided by those who are jealous or desire power, and finally for the sacred not being respected and being degraded. So I'd like to talk today about the pursuit of cleanliness as self-love and how we can intellectually, bodily, and psychically achieve wholeness. So cleanliness, which we might call discretion when it's not literally physical cleanliness, but that is included, is spoken about in Mesilas Yesharim of Avodah as sources. And it's explaining this idea. This is where it comes from, that cleanliness is close to godliness, or cleanliness is godliness, or cleanliness is next to godliness. It's a well-known cliche. So it comes from this. Carefulness leads to cleanliness. Cleanliness leads to purity. Purity to humility. Humility to saintliness. Saintliness to fear of sin. Fear of sin to holiness. And I would say fear of sin is... I would like to expand to say sin here can be defined the way I once learned it, which is to be without love, the glue as love, and then there's separation. And finally, from fear of sin to holiness to immortality, that which cannot end, that which cannot be separated. And one area, Vayikra Rabbah is another source. It's in the Jewish lineage, and it says, think about your body temple. If a man is hired and paid well, respected, even honored, just to clean the statues of the king, as a custodian, he scrubs and polishes the inanimate forms which are made of various things like metal, wood, marble, then we should at least care for our living bodies as much as that. And now I'm going to talk about the body wholeness, and some strategies that come in are, I've been talking about body wholeness, but now I'm going to talk about strategies for safe embodiment. This is from Jan Winhall. She says, orienting to the felt sense nervous system. That there's information and it comes through memories, feelings, thoughts, and sensations, and we have to feel that. Like today when I was doing my affirmations, I felt a shift. I felt it landing, and the thoughts I was having started changing, and the memories were different, and the experience of sensations and also the feelings were different. Then she says resourcing, working with parts, grounding aware presence, finding the right distance, revolutionary pause. This in Kabbalah we call pause with a pleasure. It teaches us not to react. Teaches that these are all ways to get into the automatic. So for example, resourcing is the automatic resourcing is the ability to handle ourselves by using automatic processes, and finding the right distance is to be like not too close, not too far, so automatically we feel comfortable. And of course, like I said, grounded aware presence. So you have to ground into like you're standing on your feet, you've been given a name, you have a body. And then working with parts is like the up or the lower, the in, the out, the front, the back, right to left, and so on. And of course, engaging the relational felt sense, which is the felt sense polyvagal model. So it's orienting to it, engaging how it relates, like relating to you, relating to myself, relating to what I don't like. And then finally, see the focusing attitude. So this is the ability to pay attention, not to like quickly get distracted or run away. And then I like to talk about the intellect. So the only way to really do this is to have a practice. So before I go into it, I would say the intellect is looking for something real. And sometimes it will say something's real just to say something. So Dr. Nicole LePera talks about false versus authentic self. And she says, how do you know if you're in yourself? And this is like whether your mind is finding problems or what. So others come first with the false self. The authentic self, self-care is a priority. self-sacrifice versus self-trust. At the false self, it's self-sacrifice. It conforms to what the group thinks, and versus the authentic self, like I said, is the self-trust, but also speaks truth without a need to convince anybody. The false self represses needs to avoid feelings that are painful. The authentic self freely expresses needs regardless of the discomfort. The false self is driven by a need for validation or approval, and the authentic self is driven by integrity. Finally, the false self is afraid of being disliked, while the authentic self doesn't need to control others' perceptions. So, there's this exercise that I'd like to share now, which is blank like you love yourself. So some ideas are eat like you love yourself, speak like you love yourself, because this is the authentic self. You're not going to be focusing on others when you're eating or thinking. So in other words, each of these, you focus on yourself and you do what is integrity, because it means it's integral to you. It's already in you. It's a free expression. It's regardless of whether it's slightly uncomfortable. It's really who you are. You face the discomfort of being your authentic self. So eat like you love yourself, believe in yourself like you love yourself, forgive yourself like you love yourself, be gentle like you love yourself, speak like you love yourself, move like you love yourself, think like you love yourself, follow your heart like you love yourself, trust yourself like you love yourself, own yourself like you love yourself, love others like you love yourself, and remove negative comparisons like you love yourself. And so mentally, it's kind of like intellectually, it's like kind of, I would like to say that in Torah they say when you die, or when you go to heaven, when you get to the portal, when you leave the body, they ask you, were you intellectually engaged in pursuing wisdom and understanding deeper meanings, which is the idea of a thing inside of something. And pilpul is when you kind of present the weakest of what you said and the negative, the strongest of what the other, and you kind of figure it out based off that. You find the real truth, the essence of the truth, not only in your own language, but in any language. So I said, I'll do this practice. I'll find 2 areas and I'll bring it out. And so this is a practice where I said, as a chassid, which means as somebody who is able to tap into abundance by being pious, by saying, I'm not going to have resentment to my life. I'm not going to get angry. I'm going to say, this is for the highest good. I can get over this. I can get through this. Everything is coming from the sense of there's a provider and everything's being offered, everything's needed. The chassid knows that in every situation there is a deeper meaning. So there's a necessary reason for why it's happening, and it's not to punish. And in other words, we become that force in the world by always saying, well, I can still be available to give compassion and still help and even pray for somebody and bless them who may have hurt me. So as a chassid, I attempt to see everything as revealing and relevant, that all can connect to one and to good, and that even my hardships are blessings in disguise and opportunities for me. And the second thing is I look for the reasons people do say, devote or focus, including myself, because I feel that everyone wants to offer, to provide, to give, in order to be part of the infinite creator who's the source of all endowment, all bestowing. And so I want others to feel needed the way, we also feel needy, to connect to God, the energy of never identifying with lack. And finally, in order to get psychically into what this wholeness could be is, just as a practice, what did I achieve today? And this is sort of that self-esteem work that I'm good and I'm doing a good job. And it radiates and permeates to a bundle of charge in us. So what did I achieve today? I did this a different day, and I wanted to share it, even though it's not for today, just because I feel like it's relevant. Seeing my own presence as worthy of having another's worth impressed me too. That was a big achievement for me, because I struggle with when someone tries to impress me, often I actually have pity for them. Why would they even be thinking I'm worthy of impressing? And so one day when I realized my presence is as worthy of being impressed by others, and they want to impress me too, that was a big achievement for me. In other words, it's worth looking at my original intentions when plans arrive and I feel resistance, instead of forcing myself to do things because 2 weeks ago I signed up for it. Another one is sometimes there are more steps to complete a process than expected. When I was setting up my Wi-Fi router, I found out all these small little things that were causing issues, but it's actually a chance to sit with the why and be in the now moment. Another achievement was being fully with myself means alone is not lonely and a space is not empty. I was feeling space as room to breathe, and I was feeling fully with myself as a way of feeling whole. Another is writing spiritual notes again after a year of avoidance. It felt really profound. There's a journal I have where I do special, nothing to do with what I'm sharing mostly here, although I'd like to start sharing some of the stuff from there maybe here too. It might be a little deep or a little advanced for somebody who may not identify as spiritual, and I devoted this channel to self-help. And everybody is a self, but not everybody is interested in really going high and deep into some of these like esoteric teachings. So when I found the spiritual notes, these mystical stuff, I was very grateful to be able to start writing again, and I felt a huge achievement. I've been pushing it off because I have been confronting other areas and working on other projects. Another is to become right size, one of many, that people are born, people die, people are rich, people are poor. I felt that was a big achievement for me, not to need to be rich or poor, not to need to be rich and not poor, not to need to live and not die. And finally, a way I tap into ancient ancestral felt sense for me is sometimes by not showering my body, and I did that for a couple days, and I felt like it really brought me into what it feels like a deeper inner cleanliness, and how to be really careful not to get dirty the way that people used to have to, and then understanding where a lot of the laws come from that I follow for my culture, for my tradition, for my lineage. I thank you for spending time with me, and I wish you, this pursuit of cleanliness as self-love. And clearly I've talked about cleaning in the intellect and the psyche and in the body as ways of achieving wholeness. So thank you and wish you well.